U.S. declares an economic D-Day against Iran as Washington turns to financial warfare after failing to force Tehran into submission militarily. Trump's Iran war enters its endgame as the U.S. prepares to target Mojtaba's remaining economic lifelines. America turns the screws on Iran as Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent vows to cut Tehran off from every major financial channel. Iran's economy moves firmly into the crosshairs as the U.S. targets its oil exports, banks, shipping network, and international flights. As Washington goes for Iran's economic jugular, Tehran threatens to respond with a potentially crippling lockdown of oil flows through Hormuz. Is this the endgame for Iran, or could a total economic shutdown trigger a far wider crisis for global trade and commerce? The economic war puts Trump's Arab allies at risk as Iran warns Washington and its partners could face unbearable costs.
We believe that effective deterrence is built not through aggression, but by imposing unbearable costs on the aggressor and ensuring a decisive response that prevents its recurrence. We have applied this concept in this war.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said America was entering the endgame of its economic confrontation with Iran, signaling a major escalation in Washington's pressure campaign. In an op-ed for the Financial Times, Bessent vowed to cut off what he described as Iran's remaining economic lifelines and tighten pressure on Tehran's international financial network. Bessent compared the campaign to an economic D-Day, saying Washington would target the global networks that continue to support Iran's economy. He said the U.S. would go after buyers and transporters of Iranian oil, along with companies and intermediaries helping Tehran maintain its exports. The campaign could also target financial channels, commercial flights, ship registries, and fuel transfers that allow Iran to remain connected to global markets. Bessent warned that countries and businesses continuing to maintain such links with Iran could themselves face economic isolation from the United States. He argued that achieving total financial isolation could potentially remove the need for Washington to launch further military action against Iran. Meanwhile, Iran's Persian Gulf Strait Authority issued fresh warnings to ships operating amid heightened tensions around the Strait of Hormuz. The authority warned that vessels refusing to comply with IRGC-related orders could face fines, seizure, or even confiscation of their ships. It also warned that vessels cooperating with blacklisted ships could face additional restrictions on their future operations in the region. Iran's security chief Mohsen Rezaei warned that countries supporting the U.S. economic campaign against Tehran could effectively be treated as participating in an act of war. Rezaei warned that Iran could respond by halting oil exports through the Strait of Hormuz and other routes across the Persian Gulf. Iran's parliamentary commission also reportedly approved a draft law that could introduce new service fees for vessels using routes through the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran said the measures were part of a broader response designed to impose what it called unbearable costs on any country taking part in the confrontation.
We believe that effective deterrence is built not through aggression, but by imposing unbearable costs on the aggressor and ensuring a decisive response that prevents its recurrence. We have applied this concept in this war. Throughout history, Iran has always been the focus and target of global powers' ambitions due to its strategic position, importance, and geopolitical weight in the region and the international system. The two recent wars have proven this fact. In the recent wars against the Islamic Republic, the violation of all ethical norms, principles, and humanitarian laws indicates the collapse and inefficiency of international institutions and organizations. These events have clearly highlighted the impotence and failure of international bodies and human rights organizations. Undoubtedly, this situation serves as a serious alarm for the global community. We consider strengthening our capabilities as the foundation for deterrence, neutralizing the enemy's will, and confronting those adversaries who have sought dominance over Iran or the region. Today, 2/3 of the subsystems, parts, and raw materials used in the defense industry's weapons and equipment are produced by knowledge-based companies and the private sector. Compared to similar weapons and ammunition used by our enemies in this imposed war, we achieved significantly lower production costs from an economic perspective. The final production cost of weapons, equipment, and military ammunition in Iran is 10 to 20 times lower than their foreign equivalents. As for our assessment of the defensive capabilities and the recent war on the Islamic Republic of Iran, every war, as you know, has strategic objectives. The declared strategic objectives of this war were regime change and the elimination of the Islamic Republic's defensive capabilities. None of these objectives were achieved.
Iran's top security chief has claimed that Tehran struck 3 U.S. warships in the strategically important Strait of Hormuz, making the allegation amid heightened tensions between Iran and the United States. General Mohsen Rezai said U.S. President Donald Trump had sent the warships into the region under the banner of Operation Freedom, according to the Iranian officials' account of the events. Iran's top security chief further claimed that Trump took 48 hours to make the decision to halt the operation, suggesting that the U.S. president faced a critical choice as tensions escalated in the strategically vital waterway. General Mohsen Rezai said, and I quote, "Trump sent 3 warships toward the Strait of Hormuz under the grand banner of Operation Freedom. After all 3 were hit by us, he apparently needed 48 hours to discover that he had decided to stop the operation." Unquote. Mohsen Rezai, the former commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, was appointed as the head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council in August, placing him at the center of Tehran's national security decision-making. General Rezai warned that any new U.S. military action against Iran would trigger what he described as earthquake-like retaliation, signaling a potentially severe response to any further escalation. Rezai also warned neighboring countries not to join what he described as America's economic war against Iran, urging regional governments to avoid supporting additional U.S.-led pressure on Tehran. He said that any country that helps impose new economic restrictions on Iran will be viewed as an enemy, raising the stakes for neighboring states that could face pressure from both Washington and Tehran.
If Trump wants to take certain actions, our response will be an equivalent, earthquake-like retaliation. First, we tell all neighboring countries and other countries around the world not to enter into an economic war alongside the United States against Iran. Any country that partners in creating economic restrictions against us will be considered an enemy. Of course, first we will negotiate with them. We will hold a meeting and say, "Step aside, separate yourselves from the U.S., but if they do not comply, we will hit the interests of that country." We have so far not attacked any American economic interests. We have hit American bases. It is true that we hit American bases, but why? Because we were attacked from those bases. Now, if they are going to impose economic sanctions on us, the U.S. has many oil companies and economic interests around Iran and in other places. Well, we will hit those. Trump's foolishness has increased the appeal and desire of the people of the world for the atomic bomb. Meaning, America said it came to prevent the atomic bomb, and now the whole world is saying, wow, so neither the NPT nor membership in the Atomic Energy Agency is effective. It has become clear that the atomic issue is so important that America would start such a war. So why shouldn't we, the peoples of the world, pursue the atomic bomb? In the first place, the U.S. came to make nuclear security, but now nuclear insecurity has been created. People of the world say that when they attacked Iran, which had complied so much, they attacked their nuclear centers. Why shouldn't we build a bomb so that no one can attack us? On the other hand, they realize that if they have an atomic bomb, it is cheaper and more effective than hundreds of F-35s and many associated costs. Well, now there is enthusiasm. Mr. Trump has created an enthusiasm for attacking Iran's nuclear sites. Many countries are now pursuing this. They have actually removed the control of the Atomic Energy Organization over the world. Well, wasn't that foolish? We have agreed with Oman already on the transit path, but the joint statement is not yet ready. However, we have agreed on the path. I advise the Americans not to deploy any additional forces. If they add forces, we will strike that very base. If they make any movement along the southern route of Strait of Hormuz, we will hit them. Any meeting they hold, if we discover it, if they are meeting with counter-revolutionary groups somewhere, we will strike that location. Therefore, it is not that we are staying silent. We are not silent, but currently our attacks are entirely calculated.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.